Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah, Sunnahfollowers, protectors of the Sunnah.
Alhamdulillah, wassalat, wassalam Allah, wa rasulullah. Welcome to another session of Sunnahfollowers Hadith class. And this is the class where when we discuss hadiths that pertain to women in Islam. And let's look at the hadith that's up for discussion tonight. And the source of this hadith is Sahih Muslim. The source of this hadith is Sahih Muslim. And it's narrated by Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She said that the Prophet used to observe itikaf during the last 10 days of Ramadan. And he did so until he died. And then after his death, his wives used to do itikaf after him during the last 10 days. So you learn a lot from this hadith. Itikaf is when you go into the mosque and seclude yourself for a certain amount of time. And the purpose of going to the mosque in seclusion is so as you can ponder your relationship with Allah and do more acts of worship without being distracted by the hassles of life. And so during the last 10 days of Ramadan is something that the Prophet would do because of the night of Qadr. No one knows when the night of Qadr will be. It changes every year. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would observe itikaf during those last 10 days. And then after he died, his wives continued it. So you learn from that hadith that women too can seclude themselves in the mosque during Ramadan. But the thing is, for a woman, she has to, first of all, have her husband's permission. Secondly, the mosque should be able to accommodate them. If the mosque cannot accommodate women, then that's something different. Okay, and you simply would just take a tent and set it up in the mosque and just go inside your tent and spend that time pondering or remembering Allah. So who would like to share in regards to this wonderful hadith?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
This is a great hadith to ponder. I remember I used to go to itikaf myself when it was Ramadan, but at that time I didn't have no kids. So when I didn't have no kids, I used to do it. But since I have my daughter, I stopped doing it because I didn't want my daughter to cry and to I don't want other people to look at me and say, oh my gosh, she's making too much noise or something like that. Why she bring her daughter with her? So I stopped, but I see a lot of women, even till now, they still bringing those kids to the masjid, to the itikaf, and the point of it is not to bring your kids there and talk, or your child cry. Is normally you're supposed to go by yourself, remembering Allah, but instead other people cannot remember Allah if you bring your child and that child make a lot of noise. So that sounds like to some people, it's like, why are you going to the masjid? I mean, anyway, a woman, we get more blessings staying at home, remembering Allah, than going to the masjid, especially if you have a bunch of kids. So it's not obligatory for you to go to the masjid, to the itikaf. You can just stay in your house and you will get more blessing. But they was like, oh no, I just want to go. Some people just want to go just to gossip, and this is not the point of this. So yeah, that's
exactly. This is a good point to be made too. We have to understand the purpose of secluding yourself in the mosque is to free yourself from the distractions of the world. If you're going to take your children with you, then that's not freeing yourself, because what is more distracting than children? Children are more distracting than anything else. They run through the place. They want to eat. They want to take a bath. They want this. They want attention, and this is something that the imams need to enforce in their communities. You tell the women in your communities, keep your kids at home, because like she said, a woman gets more blessings at home anyway. practicing her deen in her house. The mosque is a place of worship. It's not a pajama party. You know, and if you're bringing your children and they're screaming and hollering and crying and running through the mosque and making it into a playground, you know, how can anybody else come here and take benefit of seclusion? So that should fall upon the imams to enforce that, to have the women keep their kids at home. Now, if you got older children who are like 10, 11, 12, then that's fine, because you can tell them, sit down, shut up, and go read the Quran. But for little babies, no, you can't control that. Okay, go ahead, Sister Aisha.
Yeah, I was just about to say, just like you said, you know, if you have to go there to the mosque is for you to be, you know, secluding yourself from distraction. But one thing I noticed is for the ones that are more distracted for me would be the woman. And that's why it's just best, like they say, you know, it's best for us. We get reward at home anyway. So, you know, if you can't go, just stay at home. Because I know some people, when I used to be there, the woman over there will be selling clothes, literally clothes. And not only that, there was also another woman who would be doing henna for people, like where they have to pay her to do henna. And I'm like, this is not your house, you know, like, what are y'all doing? Like, this is a place of worship, not a place to show for us to shop and stuff. I never been so confused in my life. And she had a whole like stand for her clothes. And she was like, this is from Medina, this is from Dubai. And I'm like, what in the world is going on here? And I realized it's because nobody, like the imam wasn't there to like give them rules that they cannot do that, because, you know, nobody really says nothing at that mosque. But it just shows how it's just best for us women just to stay at home, because every time I go there, it's always the woman that have like some issue. And not only that, some of them also argue with another woman, like they're literally fighting in the mosque. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, so it just shows, you know, that if you're gonna go there, but don't cause distraction for other people who are there to get away from that worldly matters. That's all I have to say.
Exactly. Yes, go ahead, Sister Anissa.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. My husband does this every year. And the mosque that he attends in New York, it's just mostly men. I mean, the women just don't go. But anyway, the one here that I've gone to, I went in to just spend a half a day. And I was so annoyed, so disappointed. Women were there. They were camping out inside the masjid. The women are upstairs, so they really don't mingle with the men at all. We have a separate entrance, the whole 9 yards. They had blankets they were lying on. They had their tissues they were spitting in. It was horrible. I could barely even stay there to even try to connect with the crowd. I couldn't wait to get out of there. This was years ago. I never went back. So yeah, it's trouble. It's really trouble.
Yeah, and like I said, it falls on the imam to remind the people that we're here to get away from the distractions of children and women and their gossip and stuff. You know, this is not the place to come into to sell clothes, to have parties and tea and all this and sit up all night talking and gossiping, you know, and so it falls upon the imams to enforce that. Okay, anyone else?
If you're talking about the masjids and how there many times I go, well, I used to go. I don't go as much. I think we need to be more educated as women, because a lot of women, sisters, really believe that they are better Muslims if they're going to Jumar or whatever, but a lot of them don't even know that women don't have to go to the masjid. The one I used to go to during Jumar, people would be setting up for their food so they can sell it to the people after Jumar. And a lot of people would be getting up during Jumar, going outside, paying their money and coming back in. Sisters was there with their clothes, their jewelry, their henna, you know, and so it was very distracting.
Exactly, guys. And again, a lot of Muslim women today don't understand all the hadiths, all the hadiths that we read addressing the reward of going to the mosque, the obligation of going to the mosque, It all applies to men, not women. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said a woman will receive more blessings praying by herself in her bedroom than she would even praying in a mosque behind me. So all the hadiths about congregational prayer, all the hadiths about the virtues of the mosque, they apply to men. A woman receives more blessings staying in her home, practicing her deen, than she does leaving the home to practice it. And a lot of Muslim women today are not aware of that because they're not educated of their religion. So again, it shows why it's important for us as Muslim women and men to educate ourselves. And also, let's review the hadith for a final time. The hadith is reported by Aisha. She tells us that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to observe itikaf in the last 10 days of Ramadan till Allah caused him to die. Then after his death, his wives would perform itikaf during the last 10 days of Ramadan after him. Okay, so again, this is a great sunnah to do, but being that it's a great sunnah to do, it should be enforced the correct way. You know, the imam should take the responsibility to inform the women to keep their babies and children, their little kids at home, their toddlers at home, you know, because the purpose of itikaf is to be secluded from distractions that can take you away from remembering Allah. If your kids are going to be running around screaming and hollering and crying, you need to go home because other people don't come here for that. So this needs to be enforced by the imams. I'd like to thank everybody for joining and participating. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta,